right, it's 5:30, and I'm going to call the meeting of the City Council of the City of Paris to order on 5:30 Monday, June 26th, 2017. The invocation is going to be given by Pastor Tim Marks and then followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Let us pray. Holy and living God, source of wisdom and source of life, we thank you for these who have dedicated themselves to service to others, and we ask for you to give them wisdom and insight as decisions are made and issues are discussed. We pray, Lord, for you to give us a spirit of cooperation and unity as we work together to solve serious issues and to work together to make Paris a better place. Lord, we ask for your presence, your spirit to whisper peace into these proceedings, that you would give us calm minds and tender hearts, that you would give us thick skin, and that you would help us focus on issues as we work together. These things we ask in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the first item, as usual, is the Citizens Forum. Persons desiring to address the council must limit their presentation to no more than 2 minutes unless an item is posted on the agenda. The Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff person with specific factual information. Claims against the city, council members, or employees, as well as individual personnel appeals, are not appropriate for Citizens Forum. The Citizens Forum is now open. Mr. Gladfelter.
Hello. Gladfelter, 1345 Southeast 6th Street, Paris, Texas. Currently, there is a restraining order, a mutual restraining order in a lawsuit filed against me by PM Anglin. We are supposed to stay 1,000 feet away from each other. I came here very early when the room was empty, and I have made a protest to local law enforcement about her being in the building. She doesn't normally come to these meetings, so I want it noted that I am protesting her presence at this meeting, and she has in fact violated a 1,000-foot restraining order. Thank you, and there was a failure to remove her from this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Come on up.
Chad Lindsay, 1050 Southeast 29th. I wanted to talk about item 16 tonight. Many of you, probably all of you sitting up there, know that in years past I have been somewhat critical of the PEDC, again, in years past. I do want the council to consider the timing of this item tonight. You will be putting new members on this board. While I'm typically always in support of the voters having their say, I would like to see more time for these board members to have a positive impact before this item is brought up. So I would suggest that the council consider tabling this for a future meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, members of council, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you this evening. My name is Larry Shank. I reside at 3765 Dawn Drive here in Paris. I'm here to speak to you about an item which I think and I hope you will consider as important as I do, and that is to include in your ensuing budget funding for renewing the COLA adjustment, cost of living adjustment, for the many retirees of the city of Houston with regard to their retirement. They worked hard for you for many, many years. There are many of them here tonight, I think. I noticed some as I was coming out. Will you please stand if you're here? These are your friends and your neighbors, people you see at church, your volunteers. They're still here. They're spending their money. They're voting. They're part of your community as much as they were when they worked for you. But when they worked for you, they worked, and they worked hard. And I'm only asking that you renew or begin again the COLA adjustment. It's been 10 years since there's been a COLA adjustment for retirees of the city of Paris. And that's way too long. That's far too long. And we spoke to this council last year about this matter. I agree, it was far too late for me to do that. It was close to the end of your budget season. That's not the case now. I hope you will give true consideration to reinstating the COLA adjustment for City of Paris employees, because they deserve it. They're good folk. They worked hard. Many of them here spent most of their working life as employees of the city. I was an employee, but for a mere 6 years. It's not going to make much difference to me. These folks were 20 and 30-year employees, and I think it's time to right the ship. The reason given for not renewing it was because it was a downturn in the economy. It was a bad time. I don't think the economy is necessarily where we want it, but it's certainly much better than it was then. So I don't think that reason justifies not resuming. And I thank you very much for your consideration and hope you'll look at it very carefully.
Thank you.
I'm Ruth Ann Olsabrook, and I reside at 208 5th Street Southwest. I'm here to speak to item 16 on the agenda. I'd like to speak in favor of Paris retaining the sales tax for our PEDC, but instead, I would like to propose that the council consider Paris going to a Category B rather than a Category A PEDC. We're rather limited under a Category A to anything having to do with industrial development. And that is just not where the future of the U.S. is headed. Manufacturing has been on the decline for some decades in the U.S., and it's expected to do so. A Category B would allow us to put money towards sports facilities, tourism, entertainment facilities, convention facilities, public parks, related stores, restaurants, concession, parking, transportation facilities, related street repair, sewer facilities, affordable housing, and just pretty much anything that's going to promote economic development in Paris. It would allow us to attract retail stores, restaurants here, and I think that is where our future is for economic activity in Paris. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's April Carl, and I don't reside within the city of Paris, just a mile outside. However, I have been committed to this community and worked diligently for the past 7 years to serve this community's most vulnerable. I've seen firsthand what the impact of the poverty, that 29% poverty rate, has on individuals. We need good paying jobs here. The 4A legislation was passed in our local communities to help them pursue those well-paying jobs, to attract and promote economic growth. The law states that these funds cannot be used for general infrastructure. To be used for infrastructure, that project must have associated with it some sort of manufacturing type of business. In this case, a project is defined as something that creates a primary job or capital improvement within the community. So we can build a street, but at the end of that street, there must be manufacturing or an industrial facility that creates at least one primary job that is making a product being sold outside of the city of Paris. I know that these funds have created many jobs that pay a living wage. At J. Skinner, Turner Industries, Bodyguard, and we can't forget to mention some of those foundational elements like Campbell Soup Company's expansions, Kimberly-Clark, and again, Turner and Potter's Industries. All of our surrounding communities, our competition for this economic development contribute to these funds. In order to be competitive with those cities outside of Lamar County, we need to maintain our economic development corporation, and in order to maintain competitiveness and drive high-paying employers to our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Pam Anglin, 1928 38th Street Northeast. And I want to, Mayor and Council members, thank you for allowing us the opportunity to speak this afternoon. I want to express my concerns about item 16. And I just wanted to make you aware of a study that the college has recently commissioned from Economic Modeling Systems International. And we've asked them to do a program gap analysis for the college so that we could make sure we were doing the right workforce programs and if there were other needs, and looking 10 years out. So I've received a draft of that report, and what I find going 10 years out is not a lot of new job growth except for in very low wage rate jobs. $9 is where the growth is. And we know that technology is replacing a lot of our people in our factories today. The jobs are more advanced than they were. And so as we look at it and we look at the future of Paris and Lamar County and the young people that we have living here today, we have to have jobs for the future. This weekend I saw a graph, it's an interactive chart of the United States, and it showed by county throughout the United States, and it showed that those children living in poverty, what chance there was of them ever getting out of poverty. And when you look at Lamar County, and they were identified by the darker color of red they were, the less opportunity, the lower percentage, all along these counties along the Red River.
The 2 minutes are up, but thank you very much.
Yeah.
If you want to say one
No,
before you leave.
Thank
okay,
you very
thank
much.
My name is Michael Paris. I'm the Executive Director for the Paris Economic Development Corporation. I reside at 3025 Abbott Lane here in Paris, Texas. I do want to raise concern about item 16. I do understand in the state of Texas there is discussion now about how 4A or 4B funds can be redirected towards infrastructure and towards roads. At the same time, we have to remember why 4A was established, why 4B was established. 4A was established so communities our size could compete with the larger communities in the state of Texas. And especially when we're competing with the triangle of Texas, the Dallas-Fort Worth, down through Austin, to San Antonio, over across to Houston and back to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, you know that we're competing with a high, vibrant economic development in the state of Texas. And you find a lot of real communities that want to be progressive in that. It allows us to compete in a fiercely competitive environment. The companies that we have now, Campbell Soup, Kimberly-Clark, Turner Industries, they're being highlighted, they're being contacted by other states and other communities to move out of Paris and go to those communities, okay? And at the same time, we're trying to recruit companies to come into the state of Texas. You've seen that with Toyota coming in from California and other companies coming in as well. The PEDC has been critical with Turner Industries fulfilling and taking advantage of that empty space at BW. PEDC was critical of Bodyguard. Bodyguard is an international company now, and one of the few products that we had from the incubator here. And I know there's criticism about that, but we can grow.
Your 2 minutes are up.
Absolutely.
You'll get another opportunity. Anyone else wish to speak?
Hello, my name is Sims Norman. I live at 606 Church Street. I also want to speak to you about item 16 on the agenda. I encourage you to leave the EDC in place when we're as geographically isolated as we are here in Paris. We have to fight, scratch, and claw for every job that we can get. It's vitally important for our tax base that we have new jobs. Without new jobs, streets won't be an issue. There won't be people here. I appreciate the opportunity to come before you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Okay, the citizens forum is now closed. Next item is the consent agenda. Is there anything on the consent agenda that anyone on the council wishes to pull for further discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we accept the consent agenda.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Regular agenda, discuss and act on a resolution appointing members to the Zoning Board of Adjustment. You want to, we're not actually appointing them for this resolution, is that correct?
Yes, we are appointing them, and then Stephanie will bring back a resolution once you all appoint.
Oh, okay, we're going to appoint the boards alphabetically. That was my assumption.
I'm
We were
sorry.
going to do that.
That's the only one that we're going out of order because it requires a resolution, or you all can.
Okay,
So like
why don't we,
whatever order you-
is it all right with the council that we go alphabetically? I think all of us have prepared for alphabetical. Because the order will actually affect who gets on what, because some people applied to multiple things. If there's no objection to the council, we'll have, act on the resolution when the Zoning Board of Adjustment comes up. Okay, so I've got mine in alphabetical order. The way I'm going to do this is I'll ask people to nominate. Just raise your hand, and I'll call on various people. If a nomination is made, we will then vote on that nomination. And once all the slots are filled, we'll move on to the next one. The first board is the airport board. I have to make the first nomination here. I was substantially impressed with his resume. I'm going to nominate Timothy Marks for that board.
Second.
Okay, a second. Any discussion? Anyone in favor? Raise your hand. Obviously, it's unanimous. Okay, Timothy Marks is on the board. And does anyone wish to nominate someone else? Okay.
Go ahead, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'd like to nominate Daniel Roach.
Okay, Daniel Roach has been nominated. Any discussion? Anyone in favor? Raise your hand. Opposed? Okay, he's on the board, Daniel Roach. And Cleon, you want to nominate someone?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Matt Birch.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Okay. All opposed, go ahead. All right, that is our 3 vacancies on the airport board. And the next is the band commission. This one's easy. There's 1 vacancy and 1 applicant. I'll nominate Lucia Bunch. And everyone in favor? There we go, she's on. The Building Board of Appeals, this needs 7 members, and we don't have enough to even fill it. I'd like to make a motion that we table this and request more applicants, because we can't, even if we put all these people on, we don't have enough.
Second.
Yeah.
That's, I apologize. That's okay.
I had a question about this. Do we need to vote and then ask the question, or?
Oh, if you have a question, go ahead.
I had a question. Don't people have to live in the city of Paris in order to serve on boards and commissions?
Not on this particular board, as it's written in the Code of Ordinance. It says as long as you have a business that's in one of these trades, that you can apply.
The requirements do vary from board to board. It's kind of interesting, but anyway, I made the motion that we table this. Anybody want to second that?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of tabling this and requesting additional, or do we table this, or should we just request additional things and not vote on it, whatever?
You've got a motion, so you go ahead and.
Okay, well, so we've tabled it, and we'll seek additional applicants, please. The next is building and standards. Anyone wish to nominate? Ms. Portugal?
I nominate Sally McEwen.
Sally McEwen. Any discussion? Again, I may stop asking for discussion, but if you wish to discuss, feel free. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Okay. Sally McEwen is on the board. We have, how many vacancies did we have on this?
Three.
Three, okay. Another nomination? Go
Mike
ahead.
Fulmar?
Mike Fulmar. All in favor of Mike Fulmar, raise your hand. All opposed? All right.
I'd like to nominate Ben Vaughn.
Ben Vaughn has been nominated. All in favor of Ben Vaughn? All opposed? Okay. That is our three members of the Building and Standards. Next is Historical Preservation Commission. I'll nominate Sarah Barbie. And anyone, all in favor of Sarah Barbie? Good, she's on. Anyone want to go?
I'd like to nominate Randy Hyder.
All right. All in favor? Opposed? Ms. Lancaster, did? Okay. You're opposed, okay. Anybody?
I'd like to nominate Lindy Van Dever.
Linda Van Dever. All in favor? Unanimous. I'll nominate Glee Emmett.
I have a comment about this.
Okay.
As I understand it, Glee Emmett is nominated or is a candidate for Main Street, and then they're the ones who appoint her for the historic preservation. Is that not correct?
Is that correct?
That's how it worked for the other Main Street liaisons to the Historic Preservation Commission.
I know that's how it's been done since I've been here.
So do we keep one slot empty for that?
Yes, we'll have to keep one
You're
slot
right.
empty then.
Yes.
Okay, so,
Need to remember her for Main Street.
Yes.
So if you're saying if she gets on Main Street, then she could be put on
Right,
this.
she's their
Okay.
nominee
I'll
as the
withdraw that
liaison.
nomination, and I'll nominate Christopher Dukes, whatever. All in favor? Opposed? Okay. And he's on, so we're only going to fill, we're going to fill these four, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I get the honor of myself nominating the Housing Authority, and I'm going to place Brenda Cherry and Deanna Nickerson on the Housing Authority. Next is the Library Advisory Board. We have 5 vacancies.
4.
Or, wait,
There's 4 on this page. She just gave us here.
okay, my bad. 4 vacancies, sorry. I'll open it for nominations.
I'd like to nominate Christina Schock.
All right, Christina Schock. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay,
I'd like to nominate Denise Carnegie.
you beat me to it. All right. All in favor? Good.
I'd like to nominate Mike Lazar.
Okay. All in favor? All right, and I will, who wants the last nomination here? I'll nominate Angelica Black. And in favor? Okay, and that is our 4 members, correct? Next would be Main Street Advisory Board. Now, we'll have to strike Mike Lazar off of this because he's already on one board. And this is one, I'll go ahead and nominate Glee Emmett, so she'll get on there. All in favor?
Aye.
That's okay. Continue. Paula?
I'd like to nominate April Coward.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And you, Linda?
Francis Reed.
Francis Reed, all in favor? Okay.
I'd like to nominate Lori Reedus.
All right. All in favor? And last nomination, we got one more slot and 2 people.
Devin Blaylock.
Devin Blaylock. All in favor? Okay. All right. The PEDC, I'm going to nominate Marion Hamill. All in favor? Okay, opposed? Okay. And nomination, anybody else want to nominate? Linda?
Timothy Hernandez.
Okay, Timothy Hernandez. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, and he's on. All right, that's our 2 vacancies. Planning and zoning, we have 3 vacancies. Just a second. Wait a minute. Okay, since we put Mike Fulmer on building and standards, correct me if I'm
Right.
wrong, we actually now have 4 vacancies. Is that correct?
Correct.
So we have 4 vacancies to fill here. I'm going to nominate James O'Brien. Beat you to it. All in favor?
You did.
Okay. And opposed? Okay, one opposed.
I'd like to nominate, I'm not sure how you say his last name, but Mark Pencasia.
Okay. And those in favor? All right. Well, seeing no hands, I'll nominate Keith Flowers. All in favor?
No, he took his name off the airport.
He withdrew
board.
from the airport board.
Yeah.
And one more nomination. I'll nominate Rick Hunley. All in favor? Okay. And that is our 4 planning and zoning, folks. Getting close to the end. Traffic Commission, we have 3 vacancies. Any nominations? Ms. Portugal?
I nominate Bill Sanders.
Bill Sanders? All in favor? Next, I'll nominate Sally Boswell. All in favor? Okay. And one more nomination, anybody?
I'd like to nominate Dennis Ashby.
Dennis Ashby. All in favor? Okay, opposed? Okay. And finally, the Zoning Board of Adjustments. Now, we have a problem on this one also. Did we put Mark on one board? This is another board that we don't have enough to fill it, so I'll make a motion that we table this as well and send out for some additional applicants. Second for that motion?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of tabling this? Okay. All right. Next item, okay, this is item 13, discuss and appoint the city council liaisons to serve on the various boards, commissions, and committees. And understand that we're doing this a little different, that we're not, is that right, John? We're not required to have anyone that wishes to be a liaison, speak now and you can be a liaison, but some of the boards don't necessarily have to have a liaison. So if there's a board you particularly want, go ahead and speak up or raise your hand. Ms. Portugal, what would you like?
I'd like to be liaison to PEDC.
Okay. Do we have to vote on this, or is it just consensus?
That's up to you.
I mean, if nobody else wants it, you've got it. That sounds good. I'll take planning and zoning again. I guess I did that last year, unless someone else wants it real badly. Does anybody else have? Oh, yes, ma'am.
I'll take Historic Preservation Commission.
Historic Preservation Commission, sounds good. Traffic, Mr. Jenkins. Ms. Lancaster, you have one you want, or you're good?
I would like to probably stay on the one that I'm on currently.
Which is that again? I forget.
The airport?
No.
Board of
not the
Adjustment.
airport.
Board of Adjustments,
Board of
okay.
Adjustment.
Okay, and you can be on more than one, by the way. Ms. Drake, you have any?
Well, I've been currently on the Band Commission and Main Street. I'd like to maintain those if possible.
Okay, those two? Yes, ma'am.
I'd like the airport board, please.
Airport Board makes a lot of sense, yes. I guess all the other boards, you're obviously, any council member is welcome to attend any of the meetings that they wish, and so you don't have to be an official liaison.
Which one was Miss,
What was the
Ms. Lancaster,
The zone, was it?
Adjustment.
The Board of Adjustments, okay.
overlooking that.
Someone take building standards?
I don't think anybody took building and standards. Does somebody want building and standards? Ms. Lancaster wants that too, okay. All right.
Okay.
Any more liaisons, or are we through? Okay, the rest, we'll leave the rest vacant, and obviously any council members welcome to attend. Next is item number 14, receive presentation and discuss operations plan and budget needs for the police, fire, EMS, and library departments. So,
And like we did last week, we'll just have brief presentations by each of those 4 directors, starting with the library, Priscilla McAnally.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
No.
Can you hear me?
If you talk.
I'm just gonna talk. We'll start with building maintenance. Last year when I talked to y'all, I told you that we had some building issues that need to be taken care of. One was the roof, the other is some interior water damage. We had the roof taken care of last year. We're still paying that off. I've got money budgeted in this coming fiscal year budget to make a payment, and we'll need about $8,000 budgeted for the next 3 years to finish paying that off. We have repaired some exterior work on the corner. It was coming away from the building. We've had some masonry work done. I've also had some work done on the interior that was from water damage and termites. We love termites. Our art restoration, that's an ongoing project. We have finished one. It's at a cost of approximately $7,000. We have 4 left to do. We're working with the Friends of the Library and the Library Advisory Board to come up with some fundraising to help us take care of that. The other thing is just normal everyday library stuff. We're still checking things in and out. We're still weeding. One new program that I want to work on in the next year is an after-school program aimed at 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades. That's just in the beginning stages, but hopefully by the middle of the fall semester, we'll have a plan for that. And that's pretty much all I've got tonight. Do I have any questions?
any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
Keep it going.
And then our fire chief, Larry Wright, will be next, following that short, concise example.
Before I start discussing the items on the PowerPoint, I want to give you a little bit of information about the current status of the fire department. We've come a long way since I've been the chief here. And the first thing is through the support of the city council, and especially the encouragement from Ms. Lancaster, we have finally upgraded all the frontline fire apparatus that we have. It's been needed for several years. The life expectancy for a fire truck front line is 10 years, and then we put it in reserve for 10 years. The replaced apparatus that we've replaced actually were in front line for 20 years. So you can imagine the reliability we had with that. We finally have completed the development of both our hazardous materials team and dive team response. We've made several responses with the dive team already. We just had a response to the hazardous materials team to Hopkins County. The agreement we had with the COG was if they helped fund the teams, we would help service the COG region if anybody needed us. So we've been out on both teams at different places. Our responses continue to increase. The aging structures in this town, I don't know if you see us running around these fires, but we're averaging 2 structure fires a week, which is quite a bit of structure fires. In the last week and a half, we've had 8. It's the age of the structures. Because of their age is causing more damage and usually greater amount of destruction of the property. As traffic volume increases, we also have a rise in major accident responses. And we also respond, first responder with EMS, so when their call volume goes up, ours go up also. We have some highly trained personnel in our department, which comes as a result of many training opportunities that have been afforded to us, and the encouragement to the firefighters to seek this training. They've embraced it, and as a result, we feel like we're prepared, even more prepared, to respond to any incident type
which may come up. I've instilled in the department the success of our mitigation efforts is a direct result of the training they receive. Paris is an island, and without the luxury of stable mutual aid response, it becomes a necessity to be prepared for any situation that might arise and bring closure without extra help. There's much of the equipment in the fire department that needs constant attention. Maintenance and repair is high priority. Included in the equipment that we have to maintain, there's self-contained breathing apparatus, the air packs, the radios, the extrication equipment, the bunker clothing that we wear. All this equipment has a lifespan, and we have to account for it when we request a budget. But top on the list this year is fire bunker gear and SCBA, basically SCBA. On the front burner, because through the next 10 years, our air packs will gradually become obsolete. We will not be able to repair them because no parts will be available. We will start that replacement this year in order to have all replaced by the time their life expectancy runs out. Just like fire truck replacements, it is a recurring cost which must be tendered over a period of time because of the great expense to replace them all at one time. An average air pack costs $6,000, and we're going to start asking city manager to include $45,000 in our budget every year to replace these air packs. So that'll bring us up full speed at the end of 10 years. And we'll probably have to continue to do that from now on. Second item on the agenda tonight is firefighter pay. In the past 5 years, we've lost 35 firefighters. Of these, 25 have resigned, and on the exit interviews with them, the primary reason for leaving, whether it's to go to another fire department or pursue another profession, was the pay. The fire department is the lowest in the area by comparison. While the firefighters understand that Paris can't compete with the cities in the Metroplex, they do not understand why their pay is not comparable to surrounding cities like Sulphur Springs, Mount Pleasant, Greenville, etc. As of today, the fire department is short 7 firefighters who can function on a shift. The fire department has to function with a minimum staff each day, even if that means paying overtime. Along with the overtime comes the expense of training new firefighters and outfitting them in appropriate gear. It's estimated that from the time they're hired until they are able to perform the firefighting duties, the cost is between $50,000 and $60,000, including the overtime required to cover the shift while they're training. If we're lucky, we're keeping these firefighters on average of 2 to 3 years. As a result of the turnover, we are also left with a gap of experience and leadership. This is not just a Paris thing, but extends over even into the larger departments. The neighboring fire chiefs have told me that they're even struggling to find qualified candidates for firefighters, even with a higher pay rate. On a positive note, we've been able to attract top-notch individuals locally who want a fire service career. And I think it behooves us to try and stay as competitive as practicable to ensure that these individuals continue to serve their career here. Next on the list is, paper here, is 14-day pay cycle. I brought this up to council last year. In 2002, the Paris Fire Department was switched from a 7-day pay cycle to a 28-day pay cycle. And this has to do with the Fair Labor Standards Act, federal law. The change affected their overtime pay eligibility. For example, if you work a Monday through Friday job 40 hours a week, you're required to actually work 40 hours before you're eligible to be paid overtime. So if you take a day off during that 40-hour week, and then you have to work an extra 2 hours on one of the other days, you get straight time for that. But because of the fact that you already have gotten off 8 hours in that week, you worked overtime for straight time. However, if you work overtime the following week, than the week you took off, you get the overtime because your overtime clock is reset. If a firefighter is scheduled to work, I'm giving you an example, say June the 3rd, and takes that shift off, and then on June 25th, which is 3 weeks later, is forced to work overtime, which we have to do a lot. He gets only paid straight time for that time because he took a shift 3 weeks before. because their clock is not reset yet because they're on a 28-day cycle. By comparison, all the other departments of the city, which are on duty 7 days a week, police, EMS, water and sewer, are all on 14-day cycles. So if they take off on June 3rd, then work overtime on June the 25th, their clock has already been reset, so they get time and a half. The fire department is the only department in the city that's on a 28-day cycle. Finally, code enforcement and staffing. As you know, code enforcement is part of the fire department. Currently, we have 2 code officers, we have a code supervisor, and we have 2 personnel on the abatement crew. We ramp up during the summer months with temporary labor to handle the large amount of lots that have to be mowed. I intend to ask for an extra full-time employee mid-year this year just to ramp up our staff. This year so far, and we're in June, we've sent out approximately 400 violation notices for high grass and weeds and junk removal. This puts an undue burden on the abatement crew because of the rain and other city events that they have to help with. It slows their process down attending to all these lots. People get upset, and I understand that, but unless we increase the size of the crews and purchase more equipment, it's still going to be a continued slow process getting to all the violations in the city. We do try to prioritize them if we can. We are looking at contract mowing of the loop and the airport. These 2 take up a lot of time that could be spent on neighborhoods. We do sympathize with the frustration from the citizens. It seems easy just to go mow a lot, but there's a process that must be followed prior to us stepping foot on somebody's property to mow it. I would strongly suggest the city council entertain an idea of maybe having a short work session with us, and we can go through the processes that we have to go through before we can actually go out and step on somebody's property and mow it and demolish it. So if y'all might consider that, that would be a great deal. I think you'd have a better understanding and would help you explain to your constituents better on why we do what we do. Finally, I've been the fire chief here for 5 years. This is my 4th department to serve in that capacity. By far, it's the most well-trained department that I've ever had the pleasure to lead. The tenacity of the fire personnel is untouched. Because of the area we're in, they have to be self-sustaining. It's important that we recognize their spirit by providing support to them as well as the other 250 personnel in the city. I'll answer any questions you got.
Thank you, Chief. I just want to say I think a work session would be excellent to help for us to understand that process.
Well, I'm available anytime that y'all want to get together. You might want to talk to the city manager and let him know when.
Great.
Any other questions?
I have a question. First of all, John, I'd like to see that come forward. And also, I'd like to know at some point why the fire department's on a different cycle than the other departments. Maybe at some point, if you could explain that part to us.
Sure.
Also.
I can give you a really short version right now.
Okay.
Well, FLSA, firefighters work 24 hours on and 48 hours off. And so they work more hours in a shift, more hours in a month than other folks do. So FLSA has an exception that you can have 7-day work cycles, 14-day work cycles, or 28-day work cycles. That's not legal for anybody else other than firefighters that work for us. And so it's allowed. And once upon a time, they had 7-day pay cycles, which is kind of unusual for firefighters. In order to reduce overtime in 2002, they moved them to 28-day pay cycle. And it saved the city money, but it took money out of their pockets to do that. But I suspect that they haven't gotten over that yet. It's kind of hard to take a pay cut when you're still doing your job. Now, most of those folks from here are not still here.
Right.
But that's kind of the quick version.
Okay. And then you said that you were talking about how many structural fires y'all have had?
Yes, ma'am.
Are these mostly homes that we're talking
Yes, ma'am.
about?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know, just sort of off the top of your head, what the cause of most of those fires were?
99% of them are accidental for one reason or another, either electrical, not following the proper procedures on cooking.
Right.
And,
I didn't know if it was like the age of the wiring because of the age of these structures.
well, it has a lot to do with the age of the structures because, the age of these structures dictate the condition of the wiring and the condition of the plumbing. And
People can't afford to keep it up.
Ma'am?
I said people can't afford to keep it up
That's
in
true,
a lot of
and a lot
instances.
of them, it would be very expensive, but, yeah, it runs the whole gamut of.
Okay. And then I have one other question, I'll shut up.
Okay.
You said that we were 7 men or women short right now.
Correct.
Is there anything, I mean, any kind of recruiting that you are trying to do to go out?
Well, we have them, we have the 7 firefighters hired.
Oh, okay.
What I guess I failed to really make myself clear. We've got them hired, but we had to put them all through school. So they're not
Private
capable
school.
of performing firefighter
Okay.
duties and won't be until August.
Okay.
But yes, we do an active recruiting method when we do. In civil service, when you give an exam, the test is good for 1 year, as you well know. And so we do have people on the list. So if we have any openings, we still got people we can interview, but it's a revolving door.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Regarding the code enforcement, do we just simply react to complaints, or do you have a regular pattern of driving every street in Paris on a periodic basis?
We do. Our 2 code enforcement officers go out each day. They're both assigned a section of the city. One's east, one's west. And yes, we do respond to complaints, and they take a priority. But when they're not responding to complaints, they drive the streets. And frankly, I mean, it's a large area, so they're going to miss some, and that's why sometimes we do get complaints. But once these complaints are filed or we find something, there's a period of time we have to give the homeowner time to resolve the issue. And it has to be done by certified letter. We spend approximately $10,000 a year on certified letters. So there's a big process which I can go through with you at the work session.
I'd like that. Okay.
Any questions? Thank y'all very much.
Thank you very much.
And we'll move on to Chief of Police. For police as well as animal services, animal control services.
Thank you.
Finally.
Mr. Mayor, Council, what we've added tonight, we have our usual budget that we go through every year. Here's some of the highlights that one of these is that we just want you to know about because it's going to come due at some point in time, and that's the exterior of our police building. We have a very excellent police facility for the entire Northeast Texas area. We've been in it for 11 years, and we have a problem with our brick. It's falling apart. And it's just a cosmetic thing right now, but as this continues on, we see it every year, more and more of it's going to flake off. For whatever reason, it was painted when we remodeled the building and everything. As the paint dries, I'm being told this by a masonry expert because I'm certainly not. As the paint dries, it allows crevices in the brick to open up. Moisture gets in the brick, it freezes, and puts little shards off. And literally, the only fix of this is to go over the entire surface of the building with hammers, knocking off the loose stuff, and resealing it and repainting it. And that's going to be $47,000, $50,000 at some point in time. The rest of the items I've got on my list are service-oriented. Is that we find ourselves in the same plight as the fire department. There's other departments within 60 or 70 miles of us, 40 miles of us, that pay a little bit better. So we are constantly fighting to keep our personnel. And one of the ways that we want to do that, or attempt to make it a little bit better, is several avenues, one of them being what we refer to as assignment pay. Right now, the only people that receive assignment pay at the police department are people who are training, people who are on our crime prevention unit, and we have a SWAT unit that has 10 officers assigned to it. We have 4 other officers in hostage negotiation, and we have 4 officers in accident reconstruction. Each one of these areas of expertise require extra training, extra certification, extra time, and so these officers are doing all this extra work. They're compensated for it on overtime when they're called out or training, but we don't compensate them any other way. So we're asking for assignment pay Very similar to what the fire department pays its hazmat team and dive team for officers and SWAT. And when I say this totals up to about 18 officers, that's when we have all the positions full. Like right now, we only have 2 accident reconstructionists, 3 negotiators, and 9 in our tactical unit. So that's not a full complement, but that's what assignment pay is. The next thing that we do have in assignment pay for training officers is that it came up several years ago when we get $100 extra a month per officer, our communications officer, when they're training. And that sounds like a good amount of money. It is a good amount of money until you figure out on an 8-hour shift, that's $6.25 a day. And, you know, we're going to buy you a hamburger for training this new person all day long is basically what that comes down to. So we're asking for a little bit of a bump up on that. Animal control reclassifications. We nearly lost one of our officers here about 4 months ago to a higher paying job. And that brought up the fact again, our most senior animal control officer has been with us for 6 years, and his pay right now is $11.95 an hour. And even just looking around, Marshall, which we are compared to quite often, starts their animal control officer at $13.77. So we're asking for a 63-cent an hour increase there. Another thing that we're asking to do is to start a wellness program for the officers. We've had fit for duty physical assessments and that type stuff for the last 10, 15 years. We always get real nervous about them. We develop a lot of workers' comp cases in these things because these guys are a little bit out of shape when we start trying to get them to exercise and get into shape. And so we're copying the fire department. I'll just be very honest with you, is that they do some wellness checks on stress tests and blood work and that type of thing to make sure that we can get the officer up to speed before we ever start putting him in a physical fitness type situation. The last thing I'll bring up is the feral cat program. We started that last year with Miss Lancaster. It's coming up again that we need to budget for that. It's where feral cats are trapped, sterilized, and released back out. And that really takes it in on the feral cat program. That's my brief presentation. I'll take any questions you may have.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I was at a meeting Thursday night at the department over the volunteers for the Trail to Paris.
Courtesy Patrol, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what it's called. Where people are going to volunteer to go out and be eyes on the trail, not to take care of a situation, but to let the police know if there is a situation and them come respond to it to make it safer for our citizens and our visitors. And in talking with you and some of the other people that were there, it was, of course, discussed that we will be going out in your one golf cart to do the
patrol.
The patrol, I guess is what you'd call it.
And it's a really cool golf cart. It's got police on it and everything.
I'm so excited to get back in a car with the police on it. But in talking with that, we also know there is an area, quite an area, that the trail does not join up. And so you've really got an east side and a west side. And just for the other council members and Mr. Godwin, in speaking with the chief and some of the other people, they could really use another golf cart so that there would be one at both sides so that we could make sure that both sides are patrolled. We've got a lot of people that are interested in doing it. And I would just sort of like to put that out there. If we can find, I think you said, I don't know how much.
A golf cart's going to be $5,000 or less.
Yeah.
It's not that
That we might, if we have an extra 5,000 laying around.
Do the
there.
officers patrol on bicycles at all? You know, a lot of places do, and that would seem an ideal thing on the trail, probably even better than a golf cart.
We had bicycle patrol 10, 12 years ago, I guess. We couldn't find anybody who wanted to do it.
But specifically for the trail,
Oh, for the trail, you
I
bet.
can see that might be a very useful thing, and you're not in the traffic or anything. And
I think Randy Tuttle would be great at that. He's on his bicycle all the time.
just a thought, but it certainly would be cheaper and be more exercise for the officers. So you
There
kill
you
two
go.
birds with one stone.
2
here.
for 1.
Yeah. So it's just some things I think is when we start looking at budget items that we need to look at. Of course, if you pull an officer off and put him on I will volunteer in a golf cart, but I'm not getting on a bicycle and riding miles after miles after miles. So, I mean, then you'd be pulling them off of their patrol. So
Yeah, the
it's
courtesy patrol, we're really going to be relying on volunteers.
Are you going to have the funds to fix the roof at the animal shelter, or is that something we're going to have to?
I don't think I think it's some caulking that has gotten loose.
Okay.
There's not, what they're telling me is that when we have some hard blowing winds where the exhaust fans are, is that we have some leakage there.
Okay.
And we've already contacted some folks to check the caulking and get that done.
Good. Anything else? Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
And last but not least, EMS Chief Kent Fingerman. Kent's also in charge of IT, which can sometimes be confusing because those don't usually go together, but we're going to talk about both of them.
You do what you have to do. I appreciate the opportunity to be here for, once again, brief, is what we were instructed. The EMS department serves all of Lamar County, all 900 square miles and 50,000 people. In 2016, the staff ran over 8,200 calls. In 2017, it's trending upward on that by over 6% at this point in time. We've got an aging population. We've got a population that is not great about taking care of themselves. We're the first point of contact when it comes to medical care, and so they have a tough job with the population that we have. They do this all with 3 ambulances staffed 24 hours a day and 1 day truck. And so they really perform quite well with the demand that's put on them. The strategic plan that we developed was pay steps, adding another step. That's been supported by the council and the city manager as one of the first things we identified. We asked that you continue that this year. We have an ongoing life cycle of capital equipment. We cannot have, just like all the other emergency services and all of our services, we need equipment. It has to be life cycled on a regular basis, otherwise your maintenance costs just go through the roof. This includes our ambulances, our cardiac monitors, stretchers, suctions, radios, things like that. The other thing that was identified was the North Station. Since the hospital is needing their facility back, they're beside the ER. We're in that process. Y'all supported that last year. We bought land, hired an architect. We're in that process, and let me tell you, I had no idea what I was in for. I didn't believe John when he told me how long it was going to take and how complicated it was going to get, and it's true. So we'll be hopefully coming to y'all back in the last meeting in July or August, asking y'all to let us release the specs for bids so we can see where we stand. Training, it's constant with medicine, with everything that we've got going. It's just a constant. There is something going all the time. And the training that you have to keep current on and keep cards certified on, from pediatrics to cardiac to trauma to all the different things that we're being required by the state, from the infectious diseases, from like the Ebola, and it's becoming a burden. That's the reason why we talk about an operations supervisor as being someone who would help manage the day-to-day operations when it comes to supplies, maintenance of the equipment, maintenance of the stations, coordinating the training, doing run review and quality improvement, all those things that are just on the field side of our requirements. We also have a billing staff that has to have training and be in compliance with all the insurance codes, federal and state codes, when it comes to filing insurance claims, because we're trying to collect money to offset our costs. Simple as that. Anything on EMS? as far as the IT departments, we basically just try to do what we can to make sure that all the other departments are able to do their jobs as effectively and efficiently as possible, while at the same time securing our network, securing the data, and keeping us in compliance, whether it's at the police department with their criminal justice information system compliance, or with disaster recovery, continuity of operations. We have an ongoing life cycle of all that equipment. And you do not want me to list all the hundreds and hundreds of devices that we utilize to keep the network and the servers and the mobile assets, the telephones, the video cameras. I can go on and on. The city manager has been very great about being supportive of all of those things. Our big thing this year for the IT department is that we've got to do a revision, a refresh of the website. It's by far out of date. It needs a lot of new things. There's so much more that you can offer now, and we're asking to fund that. And then we have to update our Cisco servers for the VoIP phone system that we utilize as the main phone system. And so that's been included in my request to the city manager as well. And hopefully all the things that I've asked for, I will get. That's my hope.
I have your optimism.
IT question. You know, are you going to be responsible for we were going to get the contracts on a third-party website available for download. Is that something you're involved with? Are you going to be setting that up?
Well, basically, all we would have to do is just link to wherever those are. And so if with the new system, if we had a section that was talked about bids, for example, we could divide that out and then have a hyperlink that goes straight to wherever those plans are kept on the cloud.
So has that been done for current projects? I know we've already got one that's being rebid.
We don't have a bid section on this current website. It's something that we could ask for to be developed on the refresh.
I mean, have we got it? Is it available for download at this point? The
My
contracts.
understanding that with all the credentialing that had to go on, that we just got permission for that all to happen. I think that's maybe
We had
right
to
or
purchase
wrong.
credentialing for some of those sites.
Okay.
And so that's in process, but.
Have we looked? Have we looked into anything for submitting bids electronically? I know some cities do that. Have we looked into the possibility of that, or would you be interested in looking into the possibility of that?
I will do whatever I'm directed to do.
Okay. Anyone?
Well, I have to say that, you know, when I first came aboard and everything, that I was very surprised that you were it. I mean, you didn't have an assistant to,
No.
you know, God forbid anything happened to you.
Well, I've got good people.
I know you do,
on
but-
both sides, and so
Yeah.
you know, we don't just isolate the responsibilities. We try to cross train.
Right. And I appreciate that, but well, hopefully we can find the money for that.
I appreciate it.
Are you in charge of the emergency notification? Does your IT department, who does that?
Police.
Okay.
Is Bob.
Okay, thanks.
Or police. I'm not sure if it's just Bob. It's Randy, Bob, somebody.
I hear both voices.
Everybody has the little fingers in all over the spots. Anything else? Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Item number 15, this is a long one. Discuss and act on an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Paris, Texas, amending the traffic control map adopted in Section 31-65B of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Paris, Texas, establishing a three-way stop at the intersection of Fitzhugh Avenue and Pine Bluff Street, stopping southbound traffic on Fitzhugh Avenue and east and westbound traffic on Pine Bluff Street, making other findings and provisions related to the subject, providing a repealer clause, a severability clause, a savings clause, a penalty clause, and providing an effective date.
Mayor, members of
Yes, sir.
council, this item was brought before the May Traffic Commission meeting at the request of the city engineer. As y'all well know, Pine Bluff Street is nearing completion, and we're gonna have a nice new street when it gets done. Previously, the city had addressed some complaints about pedestrians crossing in that area, and putting this three-way stop would allow us to put a crosswalk at that intersection to address those complaints. And it was brought before the Traffic Commission, and they passed it 5-0 and requested that y'all consider an ordinance to placing those stop signs.
How would that be implemented so that it doesn't surprise people when they're not expecting to see a stop sign? Or will there be some warning signs put up in preparation for it to educate the people, or how will that work?
Yeah, we'll have to do a public information to the people, and also signage on the street, making them aware of the stop signs.
Typically, with new signs, we put banners on them that move so that you know they're coming.
Okay.
And this is part of the ADA mediation that we wound up last year and got that taken care of, this particular intersection.
Okay.
And you're gonna have a left turn lane turning north onto Fitzhugh off
Yes,
of
from Pine Bluff, yes.
And that's wide enough through there to do that?
Yes.
Okay.
According to our city engineer, it is.
Because I went out and looked, and I was like, ooh. But there is, but then I also noticed right there, it is a little bit
it's a little
wider
wider.
than on down from there. Okay.
All right, do we need a motion on this? I'll entertain a motion on this, or I'll move to establish the three-way stop sign according to this item.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Item number 16, discuss and act on conducting a special election regarding termination of the quarter-cent economic development tax and adoption of a quarter-cent municipal sales and use tax for street maintenance, provide direction to city staff, and authorize the city attorney to retain outside counsel related to same. Ms. Lancaster, this was your item.
This came about pretty much in looking at our present situation and realizing that this organization in its present form has been unchanged since 1993. And we felt it was prudent to have the citizens vote on whether they want to continue handling things in this way, or to make a change and change that quarter-cent handling part of it for needed infrastructure and streets. And so that's how this came to be brought. We thought, it's time to ask our citizens, how do you want to handle this? Are you happy with the way it is, or do you want to change how we handle that? So in considering that, I just wanted to make a motion that we have a special election and ask the citizens in November regarding the termination of 1/4 cent economic development tax and adoption of 1/4 cent municipal sales and use tax for streets maintenance, and authorize the city attorney to retain outside counsel to provide legal services associated with all aspects of that election. So it's really asking the citizens, what do you want to do? Do you want to continue with what we're doing, or do you want to adjust it?
Okay, there's a motion, and I'll second that motion. And let's move into a discussion phase here. I want to start off by just saying there's been some misconceptions in the public session. We're not voting to do away with the PEDC or the PEDC tax. Everybody needs to understand we're voting whether or not we wish to ask the citizens of Paris whether they wish to continue paying that tax, and if they do, they do. Or do they wish to consider doing away with that tax and possibly instituting a new tax that could, of a similar amount, that could then be directed towards streets and roads. So that's what we're discussing here. And I'd kind of like to keep the discussion on topic regarding whether or not we wish to put this on the ballot and ask the people. So that's what this is about today. Ms. Drake, do you have a comment about this?
I do have a question, I guess. And Ms. Alsterbrook made me sort of, if we, and I think that's probably what part of this motion is for Ms. Harris to sort of see if the council decides to go forward and let the people decide whether or not to keep the taxes as it is for the current way PEDC is, and it be a type B.
B.
Type B, is looking at the different things that could be done with that percentage of sales tax, and switching it over or leaving it the way it is. And I would like to sort of see that also looked into. And, 1993, I'm not, like the mayor said, we're not looking at doing away with PEDC. That is not our decision to make. That's, if we decide to do this and take it back to the people. 1993 was a long time ago, and times change. And, I've had people talk to me both ways. I've had people talk to me since this came out, and even before it came out, that they would like to see something else done with that money, that it's sort of obsolete, and then I've had people say, let's leave it alone. So, myself personally, I'm always open to letting people decide what they want to do.
May I?
Yeah, go ahead.
If what the council wants to do is look into the possibility of a conversion to a type B, that's certainly something I'm going to ask you to have asked you to allow me to retain outside counsel for this. That's something we can have them look at. But the motion on the table, I believe, is to abolish the tax, the economic development tax, and adopt a street maintenance tax.
Right.
That's what the motion on the table is.
Right. I'm just
It's not to
saying-
do that, it's to place it on the ballot to do that.
Yes, that-
Okay,
Right,
well,
that's what I'm
that-
saying.
that's
Yeah,
not
I'm
what you
just-
said.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just saying, I'm just
The citizens
discussing.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Portugal?
I have a statement I'd like to read for the record, and I have a copy for the city clerk. Paris is currently home to Campbell's Soup, Kimberly-Clark, Turner Pipe, and among many others. It's hard to imagine that these or any other industries would choose to locate to Paris without some form of incentivized development. For example, what if one of these industries chose to expand and add additional jobs? The Development Corporation Act of 1979 and Section 4A, adopted previously by the voters, could be used to assist these companies with infrastructure improvements to enable them to expand. That is, if we still have the quarter-cent tax. Job creation is critical to any community, and that's certainly true for Paris and the greater Lamar County area. Our city has made some very significant strides in the last few years. We've become a tourism destination. We have an airport that is viable to commerce and trade. We've expanded our highways to 4 lanes. We have a competitive real estate market on the Loop with many new businesses. And we are finally addressing significant infrastructure issues after years of neglect. How does removing the quarter-cent tax for economic development benefit this community? Certainly not to address street maintenance. The proper avenue for doing that is through the annual budget and bonded support where necessary, which the voters just did. Further, attracting new business and industry is one of the best ways to expand our local economy and tax base to provide for funding for street maintenance. It occurs to me that this is the sort of political issue that has characterized Paris for far too long. I understand and appreciate that there are varying opinions about the effectiveness of the PEDC. In the past, there have been allegations of mismanagement and poor oversight.
Ms. Portugal, this is completely off topic. We are talking about whether we wish to ask the voters of Paris whether they wish to keep funding this or not. We're not, the voters will have to decide the merits of this and whether or not they wish to continue funding it. We're not here to argue whether the PEDC is a plus or a minus or could be done better or could be done worse. We're simply debating whether or not we, after 23 years or however many years, whether or not the citizens of Paris have the right or should be given the opportunity to vote on this item and decide whether they think they've gotten their money's worth and they wish to continue funding it, or whether they might wish to direct that money to some other thing like streets and road maintenance. That's really what we're talking about.
Yes, I understand. I have read the proposition. If you would hear me out, I'm asking that with a new EDC director who's shown integrity and good ethics, and a new board, which this city council is supposed to oversee, then give that new board and that new director a little more time before you take this vote.
And so your position is we shouldn't ask the people. They might make the wrong decision. We know better. Is that, I mean, it really, because that's what you're saying, is that we shouldn't give the people of Paris the opportunity to vote on this because they might make the wrong decision. So we shouldn't ask them because we know what's best for them. And that's kind of what we're saying.
No, I'm saying that there has been negative and very much rumors as well as some negative things that have been done. And I think if you give this new director and the new board some time, then the people will have had a chance to see some progress.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Knox, do you have any comments on this?
No.
Okay. Ms. Lancaster, would you like to say anything else?
Well, I'm always in favor of letting the citizens decide. This has been a long time. There's some pros and cons with PEDC in the past. Some things currently I wouldn't agree with, but I'm always for letting the citizens deciding this is their money. Let them decide what they think is the most important thing to address.
And Mr. Jenkins, you have a comment?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate everyone's concern about this situation. I mean, to me, I think the people should get a chance to vote and see if they still want to do it. Just educate the people, let them know about the pros and cons, and let the people speak.
And once again, we would not be giving up on economic development. I think John has been manager of some cities where he was in charge of economic development or other. Is that correct? Could you explain that?
There's lots of different models out there, and so there's different ways to do it. In Fairview, for example, that we did not have an economic development director per se. The city managers did that. In Rowlett, which is a bigger city, we did have an economic development director who worked for the city manager. And so there's different models to do that. Certainly, I wouldn't propose that I've got the qualifications or experience that Michael has. And my background was retail office, not industrial too. It's a different type of community, but there's different models that can be successful. And what you're after is success.
Yeah, you said at Fairview you had a city employee who was the economic director.
In Rowlett.
Oh, in Rowlett, okay,
correct.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I wanted to wrap this up then, and we'll have a vote. But to me, it's very black and white. Are we going to ask the people of Paris whether or not we wish to allow them to decide whether they want to keep paying this tax, or whether they would rather divert this tax or have a separate tax for roads and streets? And after 23 years, I think the people ought to be allowed to.
Excuse me, I'm not clear in what you're saying.
It's two separate initiatives. It would be two separate, in all likelihood.
I understand what Ms. Lancaster's saying, but you're saying to decide whether the citizens, what now?
We're voting to put it on the ballot to allow the citizens
to. But you were saying whether or not the citizens know. There was something you just said that struck me.
Do away with the tax.
Right, and whether or not, and you know, I really don't think we need to abandon our efforts in industrial
We wouldn't abandon our
development.
efforts,
No,
but
we wouldn't be
we would
doing
try
that.
something different.
We're keeping the tax, we just are applying it however the citizens decide they want to do it. And I think that's fair. I'd like to have say.
Well,
Okay.
I got you.
I have a question, I guess, of Ms. Harris. We would be directing you, because I mean, you don't know everything about, I mean, there are specialists or.
Yes, ma'am, there are specialists. I know a lot of things.
I know, I know. But this would be allowing you also to come back to council if we vote to go forward with this, to guide us, I guess is the word I'm looking for, on, do you know for sure that we can do what is being asked here? I know we're just asking right now to put it on a ballot and letting people decide.
Yes, you can do that. I mean, I think what would have to happen procedurally is, I think this is, because I don't know what you are going to vote to do. So I have not prepared a resolution, and I would need the outside counsel to make sure the ballot wording was correct, and I'd have to bring a resolution to you that in writing calls the election and sets out what the ballot propositions are going to be.
Okay. All right.
Could, I wonder if, Ms. Harris, if you could consider perhaps 4A sales tax and a 4B sales tax? Because some cities do that. And I agree with Ms. Alsabrook in that 4A sales tax, very restrictive. It has to be industrial development. 4B sales tax is economic development that everybody understands with regard to roads and business development and golly, restaurants and, you know, the kind of quality of life that we want to see in Paris. And we kind of got hung up a couple years ago in using 4A money in a 4B situation, exactly. And at that point in time, when I ran originally, I was very much in favor of switching from 4A to 4B because that appeared to be what we wanted as a community. Now we've got a professional industrial development director, and I really am not comfortable at this point in time in foregoing the 4A sales tax, but would very much be interested in having both, like some communities do have. So I don't know what your feeling would be in exploring that avenue.
Are you asking me?
Well, if you can do that, if you can look it up legally, I knew that once upon a time there were a lot of communities that had this. I don't know if the current law still supports that or not. This is kind of, I just didn't have time this weekend to do a lot of research.
I'm not one of those specialists, but I believe you can.
Yes.
You can have a type A and a type B, or you can convert. But that's a different election. That's
Correct.
That's a different proposition than
Correct.
what is on the table here. So, I mean, I'll do what you tell me to.
I understand.
But I have to have the clear direction.
Yeah, so, you know, and it doesn't mean that I don't think the community, the citizens of Paris, I don't feel like taking their right away from them. They spoke back in 1993. They want industrial jobs in the community. We've saved some industry. I know for a fact Paris Economic Development Corporation has worked and saved some industries that were going to leave Paris. And I also know for a fact that they were able to secure Turner Industries to take the Babcock and Wilcox building over. And I understand that we're a little frustrated on the fact that there's not been more industry move into Paris, and major industries just aren't relocating like they used to once upon a time. But I really am not prepared at this time to let the, I'm not, yeah. I'm just not prepared for that kind of vote at this point in time. But I would be interested in an additional 4B so that we can do more of the kind of things that you're talking about, and have both.
Well, I think what we have is too restrictive, and
It
what
is.
you're saying is what I'm thinking. We need to have the latitude to branch out and create and allow us to create other things, and not just nail us to one thing.
And we do have, doesn't PEDC have obligations already that are on the table
Well,
with?
we would have to attend
That would have to
those.
be,
We would
that would have to
do
be
that.
sorted out by legal authority.
Yeah,
If we
can't just
did,
kill it.
if we did abolish, if the voters, because we're not voting to
I
abolish
understand.
anything, but if the
I
voters voted to do away with this tax and institute a 1/4-cent tax for street and road repair, that would then free up funds in the city budget that's currently being used for road repairs, and that could be used to
More
hire an
latitude.
economic development coordinator. It could be used for other things as well, but it would be under the direct control of the city, of the city and the city manager. And, I mean, that's one possibility. Other thing, it would free up some funds that could be used for the flood control and flood repair. Even the street and road ballot initiative cannot be used to build a road or a sidewalk where it doesn't already exist. It can only repair it. But once again, the money that's freed up in the city budget, if that occurred, could be used to build new sidewalks. So we would have some money that if the two ballot initiatives went through, we would have enough money. We would have a lot of things we could do in this community as well.
And you're assuming that the residents would vote down the 4A and approve.
And that's
and
correct.
that they could vote down everything.
And that's correct. This is, I mean, this is a democracy. We periodically ask the people, or should, what their opinion is on this. But, yes, ma'am.
Well, I'm for people getting a vote, but the 41% of children who live in this city in poverty don't get a vote. And they traditionally, their parents won't vote.
All right, well, we've got a motion and a second on the table. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion, raise your hands. Okay, all opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next, convene into executive session pursuant to section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code. Consultation with attorney to receive legal advice from the city attorney about pending or contemplated litigation and/or on matters in which the duty of an attorney to her client under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflict with this chapter as follows. State of Texas versus David Joel Alarid, cause number PCE 902-0050-9394-0, comma, in the municipal court of the city of Paris, comma, Lamar County, Texas, legal issues related to David Alarid's properties. And the time is now 7:58, and we are now in exec.
I think
break-
that's 6:58.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're right, 6:58, my bad. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, it's 7:32, and we're now out of executive session. We were updated on matters between the city of Paris and Mr. David Alarid. Next item is item number 18, number 19, consider and approve future events for city council and/or city staff pursuant to resolution number 2004-081.
I think we have another meeting before some of that stuff comes up, so I think we're okay.
All right. And the final, motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second. We're done.